Hello. Today we are doing meeting in Zoom. Thanks to Adam and Pavan for joining. Yeah, let's take a look at our agenda. So what do we have? I put items for Keptn and GSOC, Keptn incubation, and also Adam put a bunch of items. Talk about the 0.13.1 release. Anything else for today? So Adam, if you want, we can start from these items.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, they're basically some discussions and some items that I have raised. And if anyone in APAC on the call or later who's watching the recording wants to tackle these, I'm happy to kind of help and sponsor and mentor, through getting them in. So this first one is about as you can see, different shield badges for Keptn. So there's a way you can include those, and the quality is just the quality gate output is just one example.
So yeah, basically it would be a part of either Keptn bridge or API service, right?
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah. The one thing, so I definitely support this idea. It actually opens question whether it should be discussion or GitHub issue right away. But yeah, in principle, it would be super useful to have it.
So the next one on the list. This was being worked on, and I think Afsal's had to drop off, unfortunately. So we're looking for some more contributors to this. I think Afsal is a bit too busy at the moment, unfortunately. So this is the idea that we're going to expand the Keptn CLI to trigger any sequence, not just the delivery and evaluation tasks.
So one of the examples could be manually trigger auto remediation. If you see that something is completely wrong, a slice doesn't arrive, but you can actually trigger it manually, right?
Correct. Yeah. So anyone who wants to look into CLI development, that's a good one for you to get started with. The next one on the list.
Yeah, so maybe for that, a good item would be to just start creating issues. So there is even a button for that.
Okay.
Basically creating RFEs, maybe adding some items like help wanted. So help wanted is what is the text is not exactly correct. So how GitHub uses it is basically saying that we are looking for contributors to that. If it's newcomer friendly issue, what would be also awesome to have a good first issue. I'm not sure whether it's a newcomer one, probably not, but yeah. So generally, it would be nice to start creating these items because
that brings up a question. Actually, well, first of all, we can't add labels. I think that's only for admins of the repository. So we can obviously create the issues, but then you'd have to go in and add the labels. But how do we want to use discussions versus issues in that context?
I think that any request for enhancement, which is quite straightforward. So I want to, as a user, I want to see a feature like that. I think it should go to issues because somebody could work on that. You can reference them. And for discussions, it's another topic which really needs, for example, brainstorming, etc. So when you don't have a particular solution you're ready to propose, but when you want to discuss the things. Obviously here, everything is quite a mix. Personally, I'm not a big fan of GitHub discussions at all. So they're not well integrated with the rest of the ecosystem, in my opinion. Start moving it. Watch it, and you have to watch it to be subscribed. Yeah. So regarding your comment about labels, etc. I think that firstly you can create it that, and then somebody has to triage them. But what we already discussed in the community, so basically introducing the default issue templates for the repositories, which is currently latent, for example, in Keptn core. I created it in Keptn Sandbox. So there is a .github repository which provides some issue templates. So it goes across the entire organization. And currently I use all the format of issue templates that create issues like that. So for example, I can show it to you, you create a new issue, and basically you get a dialog, you want bug report, feature request, documentation. If you create these tickets, the label gets automatic. Also added metadata for security and the link to Keptn Slack. So just a few pointers here and there. But for example, if you create bug report, it automatically puts the label there. So this is what I want to introduce, and actually I returned back to that. So maybe you have seen there is .github repository. I asked Johannes to create, and I got distracted by all other things. But actually returned to that just a few days ago. So trying to initiate this profile so that I start putting all the content incrementally. So if you want to contribute, it would be nice. And what it makes sense to show is that actually in recent versions of GitHub issues, you get also a dialogue. So for example, in the Jenkins community, where he created a help desk using these forms. So for example, here, if you want to request GitHub permissions, you get a kind of form you fill out. So it's not even plain text. And you can see that some fields are mandatory, some are not. You can get the drop downs, etc. So basically, it would be super useful if we introduce something like that in Keptn.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be really good, because I was a bit concerned if we just have a solution but we plow everything into issues, it'll get quite cluttered. So I was keeping things in discussion, but that kind of makes sense. If there's a concrete idea of how to solve something, it's probably an issue or an RFE, you know, and then if it's just a general discussion, it's in discussions. That kind of makes sense to me.
So our problem that it's already quite cluttered. And all in Jenkins, we have 20,000 open issues, so this is nothing that bad, but still there is quite a lot of them. Yes, some of them are created automatically. You can see there are duplications being pushed by GitHub Actions, etc. So it already requires some work, but at least it's there. Because, for example, personally, I do not actively look at discussions because even triaging issues and Slack is just enough for me. We can my capacity, but you're definitely right. Good things get proposed there. So what you proposed for badges, for triggering, all of that are totally legit things. And if you put them as issues, if you put metadata like help wanted, etc., it actually becomes much better. And even here, I believe that now it supports. So yeah, even here, 28 issues needs help. So you click there and you can see that help wanted, the first issues, etc. So GitHub already gets this metadata, and moreover, well, it's just useful. Also, there is technology search. So if you're looking for new issues for Golang, etc. on GitHub, then it will periodically suggest Keptn tickets as well. It's a way to get more contributors participating. So, well, it adds some traffic.
Cool. Excellent.
Okay. So thanks a lot for that. And yeah, sorry for the detour, but additional support for webhook, also plus 100.
Yeah, pretty self-explanatory.
Okay. And we also have caps, right?
Yeah. So
generate multiple API tokens. It would be really awesome, especially when we have permission scopes. Because assuming that we have permission model, RBAC, etc., you may want to have one topic that is read-on, one token that is read-only, another token that can trigger things, another token for administration with different scopes and permission models. So I think that it would be really nice if you put it there. Yeah, again, it raises the question whether it should be a pull request or again GitHub issue. What do you think? Because you make a proposal key in cap because you want to get feedback, right? Or
well, actually, if you look at the issue template, basically the contributing guide says at the moment you can do either. You can do a pull request or raise an issue. So I've kind of done both, and it's just, yeah, just trying to figure out what happens. Why would I do a pull request versus an issue, or vice versa? So the ideas are kind of all over the place at the moment that I've been generating, but
yeah. So well, we passed through the same in other communities, bigger ones like Jenkins. So my suggestion would be to use one location GitHub issues for everything, where we just have a proposal where we need to work on them. So discussions rather for abstract ideas, which can be broken down to a number of issues later. And for enhancement proposals, personally, I would rather consider it as a way of documenting the decisions. So we have an issue, we discuss how we would like to implement that, creating a specification for that, and then we can have cap with this specification. Keptn enhancement proposal just for discussion without technical implementation, etc. I'm not sure which it fits, because yeah, this one is basically it's for the issue, in my opinion. So once you have, let's say, 10 pages of specification describing how it would be implemented, with people providing technical feedback, then yes, it's kept.
Yeah, I agree, and for another reason as well, because if you're new to not only Keptn, but this whole thing, you want to get started as simply as possible, and to me an issue is the simplest way to do that, whereas a pull request it just adds a layer of difficulty that I don't think it warrants at that stage. You're right. Once you get down to, okay, we're actually going to work on this, and this is concrete, and we've got some ideas here, and we're going to start work, then it becomes a pull request. But just as kind of a, here's an idea, I just want to get that in there and either I just want to get feedback. It might get rejected, so I don't want to go to that extra work of a pull request.
Yeah. So in this case, yeah, I would suggest just GitHub issue. And yeah, closing GitHub issues when rejecting is also important, because otherwise the things get cluttered. But all reasonable ideas, I think, should be open. Major ideas we want to work on, they could be added on the roadmap. So, but yeah, basically this one right now would be rather a big backlog of things that drives Giovanni, Johannes, and me crazy when we look at that. But yeah, it's a part of our job. So yeah, it's basically a job of various product managers to get it sorted, to fight with all this backlog. But right now, I'm pretty sure that nobody really looks at discussions here. I create some issues based on help discussions, etc. But it's hard to handle so many channels. And arguably, so it's my personal opinion, I don't understand why we use this approach for caps, because all the content stays in pull requests. So unless you know where this pull request is located, you can read specification, etc. I know that we basically took it from OpenTelemetry, which again kind of makes sense. In Jenkins, we actually inherited Python approach. So in Jenkins, we have sorry that I reference Jenkins all over the place, but just came from these communities. So here, how we do use it and how, for example, Python uses it for PEPs. Instead of doing this infinite pull requests, we actually have repository again with proposals. And for example, you can see that some proposals are accepted, some proposals are in draft state. So for example, if you open something in a draft state, you can see that there is some metadata. We use a skidoc, but basically you can do the same in Markdown. And here we explicitly say that the status is a draft. So basically open for discussion, feedback. We also add discussion channels there when it's outside of the developer mailing list. And basically these IDs all are incremental until the community votes to accept them. So you can see that there are some pull requests going in. Yeah, for me, it seems to be a bit more natural than what we're using in Keptn right now. But it's something to be discussed in the community later. They would like to see it changing. The only advantage of this thing that you get a cool open graph when you reference it in social media. Basically, that's it. Those dashboard and these ones are probably the same, right? Policy agent sequences.
That one's more around, yeah, as it says there, restricting sequences for certain criteria.
Yeah, and actually it also raises a good question because we use enhancement proposals issues for that. So it's another discussion channel.
Yeah, that's
just mostly used by you.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where things go.
Maybe it's something we need to actually define, because if you don't know where to put it, then nobody else also knows to put it.
Yeah, well, it's not so much actually that there are multiple channels of where it could go. That's actually the problem. You could do an issue in, there's like 4 different places that things could go. So just tightening up where things go and why they go there, and then that's obviously very clear.
So
yeah, because in the main repo we have issues, we have discussions, and then in the Keptn Enhancement Proposals we have, you can raise a PR, and you can also raise an issue in the Kep thing. So there's 4 different, and then Slack, of course, but just on Git alone, we've got 4 different places that somebody could log in and suggest an idea.
So I think that we should centralize the 2. So one of them could be just enhancement proposal, of course. Another one, well, basically just a common request for enhancement. It could be put in any repository. So personally, I would rather think that we need labels, etc. And this repository can be used for IDs that do not really map existing items. So, for example, some items like, let's say, badges, etc., we know that they would go to the Keptn port repository, right? So maybe what we could do is just put them there. But if there is idea which doesn't particularly fit this repository, so for example, here we have a bunch of ideas related to integration services, which have no mapping to Keptn import repository at all. It's just the place where people create them for integrations. So, for example, Keptn plugin for Backstage, integration service for its Electro, etc. All of that could be actually moved to Keptn proposals. In this case, what would be basically, if you want to make a suggestion, generic one, you can go to enhancement proposals, then it can be routed to another repository. But if you know where it would be architecturally, etc., then you can just put it into the appropriate repository right away. Make sense for you? Currently, there is actually a magic button, transfer issue. So it was added a couple of years ago. So it actually allows to drag things quickly.
Yeah, just kind of move things from one place to another.
Yeah, and also there are all discussions too. Just put it for my backlog because I think it's really important if you have something, if you want to have something centralized. Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah.
For the discussions, I think that we need to disable discussions everywhere except one repository. So otherwise, it just scattered all over the place. For example, here. So I think that we need to at least put all discussions in one place.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks again for bringing this topic because it's really important.
So as I say, so any of those issues there, I'm happy to work with obviously people in my time zone to sponsor and guide you through those if you want to pick those up. That next bullet point, requests and reviews, that was more of a ping to you, Oleg, just to say, could someone have a quick look? Because there's about 7. What I'm trying to do, my old services like Jira service and Trello and Monday.com, I'm trying to migrate them away from dedicated services and move them to using the webhook and or the so there's quite a few there: Monday, OS Ticket, Trello, Zendesk, because I feel that the webhook is a lot more scalable and a lot more easy to use than a custom Keptn like a service. Obviously, there's a place for that as well. But a lot of these kind of notification services can now be done with a webhook, whereas we didn't have that previously. So yeah.
So I can just say what I actually started looking into that last week because I hit basically the same bandwidth issues, and yeah, what I actually did, I created a new repository. So Robjan nominated himself to help with webhook integrations. And I also described it with Mac. So I will also add Mac. I cannot take Mac because it just needs Stoplight to be a member of the organization. But I started creating this repository, and what I will do, I have no idea what is Keptn ecosystem team. Taking the members, I'm not sure how many. So Christian, Paola, they're active, Anna active, Gilbert active. But yeah, I think that we just need to introduce this reviewers team too. This is what I wanted to do so that it facilitates work. So what I will do right now is just adding that so that it appears on everyone's dashboard. And yeah, thanks a lot for doing this cleanup. So I will take a look. I haven't checked almost any pull requests since the weekend due to obvious reasons, but yeah, I will catch up. So anything else? That? Yeah. So
No, I'm all good.
and thanks a lot for raising that. And maybe I will actually pin ArtifactHub here because it makes most. Oh, it's there. Okay. So for ArtifactHub, I will try to catch up on that because yeah, there is quite a lot of things. We definitely need to keep it up to date. Okay. For that, do you have any topics from your side?
No, I'm just trying to understand the project at the moment.
And proceed. So quick update on GSOC. So we are waiting for the confirmation. On March 6th, we should get a message whether we are accepted or not. Have all the major things in place. We have 6 project ideas. We're still looking for potential mentors and more project ideas. So if you have something in mind, feel free to propose or join. Maybe one of your ideas, Adam, would be reasonable, or maybe you will be interested in some topics on the list. So let's see. And for us, it's actually essential to have more potential mentors and more project ideas because it's one of the criteria how the organizations get selected. Also, it would be nice to have more people. It's already
Have a look through, and if you think some of them are good candidates, let me know, and I'm happy to, as I say, happy to sponsor or support any of those. So if it works together, then perfect.
Yeah. So basically, what we are looking at is that we need potential mentors. So it's no commitment at the moment, and commitment to be made only in April when we select projects. But what we speak about in summer, it would be a few hours per week on reviews, on meetings, on chats with mentees, which is usually a quite a good experience. Can be load balanced between multiple mentors. So I believe that we won't even consider a project if we have just one mentor. So 2 mentors are by minimum. In Jenkins, we actually set the minimum to 3 because summer breaks, etc. Usually, some people are not able to participate after all. So it's not a huge commitment, but it's actually quite a good experience. See anything interesting for you? Just step ahead. Yeah, it would be nice. So we are waiting, but yeah, everyone is welcome. For Keptn Incubation, just a quick update. So today I will be doing a presentation for Tag App Delivery. So we had a conversation. I'm not sure what happened because I have a bunch of proposals. Okay, I will figure it out. But yeah, actually we have this document where it's because I can only view that, so I cannot see suggestions. Yeah, if you open it like that, you can see that there is some suggestions already. So if you see something that could be improved, actually change the permissions right now so that it's widely everyone can modify them going forward. And yeah, basically we did it. I will be updating it today. It will be one of my top priorities. So I will be doing presentations and re-signing off these due diligence to Tag App Delivery so that we can proceed with the TUC voting. So this is what we discussed with Cornelia Davis. So if you see some major missing items, etc. So there is a lot of things to be updated. But yeah, any additional feedback and suggestions would be appreciated. So I will be driving it going forward. and I have a backup of the previous document. So just suggest any change and we see how we can land it. Yeah, speaking of that, you may have noticed I'm doing some updates in the community repository. So basically, it was deprecated. I undeprecated that and using it for a kind of storage for any community items. So, for example, what I added documentation for project infrastructure, which is currently pending. So, because just oh no, I added it for another project for open feature, but yeah, I will edit here too. But for example, I tried to document Keptn advisory board. It's an entity which de facto existed, but had no documentation at all. So I plan to edit it. I also started the Keptn incubation page with all the summaries and this archive for the previous document. So basically, the idea is to use this repository as a storage for whatever community content that doesn't have special location right now. And obviously, I want to get rid of DCO there so that it can be incrementally. If you have anything from the notes, etc., like experiences, suggestions, it could be also one of the ways to work on. And same for this. So I basically use it as my backlog for various things of community management. And yeah, there are already some issues templates. And so then. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say about this community logistics. There is some things, but overall work in progress. Going back to our agenda, I think that we don't have much items left. Just maybe they think we should have covered the first. We released the 13.1 release with bug fixes. So currently this baseline should be stable for quality kits. There will also changes for OpenShift installer. So now it should actually work. There will also changes for for OpenID Connect, because before that there were some issues, for example, for SSO logout and other things. So there were improvements, and if you use any of these features, please try them out.
Yep. From my side, 0.13.1, I avoided 13.0 for the bugs, but I've had no issues so far with 13.1, so it's looking good from my testing anyway.
Okay, that's nice. Feedback. Yeah, personally, I think that we should have released this version last week, because one of the defects, for example, for quality gates, was fixed by Christian over the weekend. So basically, the delivery was delayed by 1 week and impacted some users. So it's probably something we need to think later how we actually do delivery when we have regression fixes, because 12 days ago we could have easily shipped it much earlier, so that some users have got a bug fix. That's how it goes, and yeah, there is a bunch of changes going here and there. It's hard to track everything. So,
all good from my side. Excellent.
yeah, I don't have any other items. One, do you have anything?
No, not really.
So I think that's in there. So thanks everyone. And yeah, I made a bunch of action items for myself, Adam. So thanks for bringing it up. And yeah, probably I'll even take a bite tomorrow if I have some bandwidth. I can't really focus on bigger stories. So after I do this
Don't blame me.
fiction, I will probably do some with community logistics.
No worries. Thank you very much for your time, gents, and yeah, everyone stay safe. It's craziness going on at the moment.
Yep. Okay, I'll publish the recording in 1 hour or so. Thanks all.
Thanks, Al.